Well, last time we talked about the stages of culture shock, and I shared my experience of living and studying in Albania. Today, I'd like to talk about another subject from anthropology. It's called third culture kids. As you may know, many anthropologists study other cultures by living in them. This means that their children often are third culture kids, or TCKs for short. Now, what exactly do I mean by third culture kids? Well, let's see if we can find a definition by looking at my own three kids experience. Our family lived in Ghana, Africa, for 7 years. Of course, in our home, my kids learned the behaviors and the values of the American culture because my wife and I are American. But at the same time, our kids were also learning about the Ghanaian culture from their Ghanaian friends and neighbors. The kids also attended an international school, which had children from several different cultures, so that was another source of learning. So third culture kids are children who grow up in a culture different from their parents' native culture. While participating in this new lifestyle, these children are also learning about their own identity. That is, they're learning about themselves and the world around them. For example, as young children, my kids celebrated Thanksgiving and learned to enjoy jazz music, American traditions. At the same time, they were also celebrating the Ghanaian Independence Day on July 1st and were listening to West African highlife music whenever they were with their Ghanaian friends. So, they grew up learning behaviors and beliefs of both their home culture and their host culture. That is, they grew up in an environment that was a mixture of two cultures. So it was really like a new, different culture, a third culture. Now, is being a TCK a good thing? Well, it can be helpful to children in a number of ways. Here are four of the most important. First, these kids become interested in and learn to accept other cultures. Second, they learn to be flexible. They live happily and successfully in different cultures. Third, TCKs learn to make friends quickly. And they often have a large circle of friends all over the world. And finally, of course, these kids have excellent communication skills in several languages. However, third culture kids also have some problems that other kids don't. For one, because they grow up in this special third culture, they often don't feel like they really belong in either their home culture or their host culture. So they're a little unsure about their identity. For example, even though our family has been back in the U.S. for several years now, my kids still don't completely think of themselves as American. And they don't think of themselves as Ghanaian either. My son says he's a nomad, someone who lives in many places but doesn't really have a home. Another problem for third culture kids is that they may not feel socially comfortable with their relatives. Why is this? Because they've never really spent much time with them. Similarly, TCKs may not click with or relate well to other American kids. Often it's because they haven't experienced the same cultural events in their lives. For example, like seeing popular movies or big sports events. Actually, third culture kids often say they're most comfortable when they're with other TCKs. That's easy to understand, isn't it? The third and final problem for third culture kids is that they don't have much experience making deep, long-lasting friendships. This is because they know they'll be leaving the host culture at some time. And if they're at an international school, their friends are always coming and going too. Okay, let's end here by saying that third culture kids can understand and adjust to other ways of life and other languages, but they may not feel completely comfortable in any one culture. However, if you ask my kids, they'll tell you that they really enjoyed growing up as TCKs. And as a parent, I'm glad they did too.